The moon was silent. Its surface stretched for miles, covered in pale gray dust and broken stones. No winds moved here, no rivers flowed, and no sound traveled without machines to carry it. Yet for Lena and her small team of human explorers, the silence felt alive, as if the ground itself was waiting. Their ship, Horizon Dawn, stood on the edge of a crater, tall and gleaming like a beacon of stubborn human will. While most species avoided this lifeless moon, humans had come to study it, searching for minerals, water ice, or anything of value. What they found instead was something none of them had expected. It started when technician Rule's drill struck a hollow echo deep underground. At first, he thought it was just an empty cavern. But the sound carried a strange metallic ring, as if his drill bit had touched something carefully crafted. Excitement spread quickly among the crew. They worked for hours, their tools biting into the stone. Soon, the dust gave way to something smoother, something deliberate. Lena stepped forward, her boots pressing down on the uneven ground. She brushed her gloved hand over the exposed surface. Beneath the layer of stone lay an enormous structure, long and rectangular, stretching farther than their lights could reach in one view. Symbols were carved across its surface. They were not natural lines. They were writing, or at least something meant to be read. "This is not a cavern," Lena said softly, her voice steady through the comms. "It is a tomb." Her crew went quiet. Even though her tone was calm, the word carried weight. A tomb meant someone had built it. A tomb meant someone had buried something here. By the next morning cycle, they had uncovered more of the object. Its surface rose into the shape of a giant sarcophagus, sealed and untouched. Its size was overwhelming. It was taller than 3 men standing one on top of the other and longer than their ship's cargo hold. It was made of a material smoother than stone but harder than steel. No scratches marked it, even though it had been buried for countless centuries. When the alien historians arrived later that cycle, their reaction was immediate and filled with fear. The alien team was led by an elder named Calren, whose thin frame was wrapped in dark robes. His people, the Solari, were known for their careful study of ruins across the galaxy. When Calren saw the carvings on the sarcophagus, he staggered back, his pale hands trembling. "You must leave this place," he said firmly. "This is not for you. This is not for anyone." Lena narrowed her eyes. "What do you mean? You recognize these markings?" Calren hesitated. His eyes darted across the surface of the sarcophagus, reading the strange shapes. Finally, he spoke. "I have seen them before," he admitted. "Long ago, other civilizations found tombs like this. They thought it was treasure. They thought it was glory. Every one of them tried to open it. None of them returned." The rest of the Solari historians nodded quickly, their voices filled with nervous whispers. They called it a curse, a relic from an age before even their oldest records. According to their warnings, the sarcophagus was not a container of knowledge or honor but of danger, a danger that consumed all who dared touch it. But Lena was not convinced. She studied the markings closely. To her eyes, they did not look like warnings. They looked like a language waiting to be understood. "You say they vanished," Lena said, turning back to Calren. "Did anyone ever see what was inside?" "No," Calren replied, his voice sharp. "That is the point. It must remain closed. There is a reason no one survived." To the Solari, the fear was enough. They gathered their equipment, ready to leave the site. But the humans did not move. Rule spoke over the comms, his voice restless. "Captain, if every species turned away, then how do we know the truth? For all we know, the stories are just old fears passed down until no one remembers why." Lena nodded slightly. She could feel the same pull he felt. Humans had always carried this flaw or this strength. Where others saw danger, they saw questions. Where others walked away, They stepped forward. She placed her hand on the cold surface of the sarcophagus once more. The smoothness of it sent a faint shiver through her glove. She imagined how long it must have rested here, hidden in the dust, waiting for someone to find it. Waiting for someone who would not turn away. That night cycle, while the Solari historians sealed their shuttle and prepared to leave, Lena sat in the control room of the Horizon Dawn. The sarcophagus filled the outside feed, lit by harsh lamps that pushed back the shadows. She thought of Earth, of the generations of explorers who had crossed oceans, climbed mountains, and sailed into the dark just to know what lay beyond. Humanity had never been the strongest or the oldest race among the stars, but they carried one trait others did not. They refused to live with unanswered mysteries. Ruel entered the room quietly and sat beside her. "They will not come back," he said, nodding toward the Solari shuttle outside. "Once they leave, they will tell the rest of the galaxy to avoid this moon." "Then it will be just us," Lena replied. "Just us," Ruel repeated, a smile creeping across his tired face. "Like always." The ship's lights flickered for a moment, pulling both their gazes back to the monitors. The sensors showed a faint pulse coming from the sarcophagus, a rhythm like a heartbeat deep inside. It was too soft to be dangerous, yet too deliberate to be ignored. "Did you see that?" Lena whispered. Ruel nodded. "Captain, whatever is inside that thing is not dead." Lena leaned forward, her eyes fixed on the glowing shape on the monitor. Fear should have filled her heart, but instead she felt the rising heat of determination. The sarcophagus was not just a relic. It was something alive, something waiting. And if no one else in the galaxy dared to face it, then it would be humanity who did. As the silent moon stretched out under the stars, Lena made her choice. She would not walk away. The mysterious sarcophagus no one dared to open had finally met the one who would. The morning cycle began with silence. The Solari shuttle was gone, leaving no sign but faint dust marks on the barren ground. Lena stood outside the ship Horizon Dawn, her boots sinking slightly into the soft layer of moon dust. Before her, the massive sarcophagus remained half-buried, its carved surface glowing faintly under the lamps. Without the Solari's nervous voices filling the air, the sight felt heavier, as if the structure itself had grown larger overnight. Her crew gathered near the excavation site. Ruel, with his restless energy, carried a scanner that blinked and whirred with soft blue light. Mara, the medic, stood with folded arms, her face cautious. Joran, the engineer, adjusted his visor as he studied the ground around the object. "We are alone now," Joran said quietly. "No one to tell us what not to do." "Except common sense," Mara replied sharply. She looked at Lena. "Captain, the Solari were terrified for a reason. You saw their elder's face. He believed in those stories." Lena kept her eyes fixed on the sarcophagus. "Belief is not proof. They spoke of fear, but they never gave us evidence. They only repeated what others had said." Ruel tapped his scanner, shaking his head. "Whatever it is, this thing is not ordinary rock or metal. It is older than anything we have seen. The energy inside is faint, but it is steady. It is not natural." The crew fell quiet as the scanner gave off a slow pulse, matching the rhythm Lena had seen on the monitors the night before. A soundless beat, like the echo of something alive. The humans worked carefully to uncover more of the object. They set up digging machines and used drones to sweep away the dust. As the hours passed, the sarcophagus revealed its full form. Its surface was covered in long lines of symbols, each one carved with precision. The lines curved and met at sharp angles, patterns that seemed to dance when viewed from different directions. "What do you think they mean?" Ruel asked, wiping dust from his visor. "They could be history," Lena answered. "Or instructions. Maybe even warnings." "Warnings we cannot read," Mara muttered. Joran ran his hand along one of the smooth edges. "Whatever it is, it was not made to be forgotten. It was made to be found. The statement hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Mara shook her head, turning away as if she could not bear to hear it. Later, as the crew rested inside the ship, Lena opened a recording device and replayed the words of Elder Calran before he left. His voice cracked with fear as he had spoken of civilizations that vanished after finding such tombs. He had said they were consumed by it, that no one ever saw them again. She listened to his warning 3 times, then shut off the recording. To her, the words were filled with uncertainty. The Solari had spoken with conviction, but conviction was not proof. Humanity had survived because it refused to hide from the unknown. That evening, the crew gathered for a meeting in the central chamber of Horizon Dawn. The pale light of the lamps outside filtered in through the windows, casting long shadows across the table. Lena spoke first. "We all know the Solari have gone. They believe we should leave this moon. I will not force anyone to stay. If you think this is too dangerous, speak now, and I will respect your choice." The room was still. Ruel leaned forward, his eyes shining with eagerness. "We cannot walk away. This is why we came to the stars. To find what no one else would touch. If we leave it behind, we are no better than those who turned away before us." Joran nodded slowly. "It is dangerous, but danger is not new. We build walls, we cross oceans, we step on worlds no one has touched. We do it because we are human. I say we stay." All eyes turned to Mara. She sat in silence for a long moment, her hands clasped together. Finally, she spoke, her voice heavy but steady. "I do not trust it. Every part of me tells me it is a mistake. But leaving it alone would haunt me. I cannot stand by knowing we turned from something greater than fear. So I stay too." Lena looked at each of them in turn, her chest swelling with pride. "Then it is decided. We stay. And we learn." The decision carried weight, yet it also carried strength. For the first time since the discovery, Lena felt the crew united. They were not bound by fear, but by purpose. Over the next cycles, they continued their work. Using scanners, they mapped the entire surface of the sarcophagus. They discovered that it was made of a material no database could identify. It resisted drills and cutters, yet it responded to touch in strange ways. When Ruel pressed his palm against one of the symbols, the carvings glowed faintly before fading again. "It reacts to us," he whispered. "It knows we are here." The idea unsettled everyone, even Ruel, but Lena placed her hand on the surface as well. She felt a faint warmth, almost like a heartbeat under her glove. The sarcophagus was not a dead relic. It was aware. At night, the dreams began. Mara was the first to speak of them. She woke in the crew quarters, gasping for air, her eyes wide with fear. She told the others she had seen flashes of light, endless corridors of stone, and voices speaking in a language she could not understand. Soon after, Joran admitted he had seen the same visions. Then Ruel. And finally Lena herself. Each dream was different, yet they all carried the same weight, a sense of being called forward, deeper into something vast and hidden. "It is reaching us," Lena said quietly as they sat together after another restless night. "Not to harm us. To show us something. Or to trick us," Mara replied. "Or to test us," Ruel suggested. Whatever the truth, none of them could deny the pull growing stronger each cycle. The sarcophagus was no longer just an object buried in dust. It was part of them now, whispering in the corners of their minds. On the 7th cycle after the Solari's departure, the ground trembled faintly around the excavation site. The lamps flickered again, and the scanner recorded a sharp surge of energy from inside the structure. Lena stood at the edge of the pit, her gaze fixed on the massive sealed lid. The symbols glowed faintly in the dim light, pulsing in rhythm with the tremor. She knew then that the time for hesitation was ending. The sarcophagus was no longer silent. It was calling. And only humanity was here to answer. The day was cold, though cold meant very little on this silent moon. The pale sunlight barely touched the surface, making long shadows stretch across the excavation site. Lena stood at the edge of the pit, her hands on the railing, staring at the massive sarcophagus. Its smooth surface reflected a faint silver glow. The symbols carved into it pulsed softly, as though alive. "Captain," Ruel said, breaking the quiet. "We are picking up stronger energy readings. The sarcophagus is active, or at least something inside is. I have never seen anything like this." Lena nodded. "I know. I feel it too. It is as if it is aware of us. But aware in a way that is not hostile." Mara shifted uneasily. "Not hostile does not mean safe. We have seen enough warnings. Every instinct in my body tells me to leave. And every instinct in my body tells me to stay," Lena replied firmly. She looked at the faint pulse moving along the symbols. "If we walk away now, we will never understand what is here. Humanity is here because we explore. Because we face the unknown." Ruel lowered his scanner and touched the surface of the sarcophagus. The pulse intensified beneath his hand. The light from the carvings spread slowly across the entire lid, like a wave moving toward him. "Captain, it is responding," Ruel said, his voice filled with awe. Lena stepped forward, placing her hand beside his. The pulse changed again, faster now, almost like a heartbeat. A soft hum filled the air around them, vibrating through the ground and their bodies. Joran adjusted his visor and studied the ground around the sarcophagus. "I am detecting micro cracks forming in the surface. Nothing that could break it open yet, but it is changing. Something inside is moving, or reacting to our presence." Mara took a step back, her arms folded tightly across her chest. "This is exactly what the Solari feared. We are not dealing with a simple tomb. There is something inside, and it knows we are here. It could be dangerous. It could destroy us." Lena shook her head. "Or it could be waiting for us. Not to harm, but to reveal something. Think about it. How many times have civilizations faced objects like this and turned away out of fear? Maybe the sarcophagus was built to wait for those who are brave enough to see it through." The crew remained silent after that, the tension in the air thick. Even the soft hum from the sarcophagus made their hearts beat faster. As the hours passed, Lena ordered a careful survey of the surrounding area. Drones flew over the surface, scanning for hidden threats, measuring energy fields, and mapping every inch of the sarcophagus. The results were puzzling. The energy seemed intelligent, moving around the symbols as if observing them. Nothing in their records could explain the readings. Ruel bent over one of the monitors, his brow furrowed. "It is not like any technology or energy I have ever seen. It is not mechanical, not chemical, not even organic in the way we know. But it reacts to thought and presence. It reacts to us thinking about it, not just touching it." "Think about it?" Mara whispered. "You mean it can sense our minds?" "I do not know exactly," Ruel replied. "But the readings match patterns of neural energy. It is like it understands we are here and responds to our curiosity." The idea made Mara shiver. That is too intelligent for comfort. Lena walked to the edge of the pit, her hands resting on the railing. The hum of the sarcophagus grew louder, resonating through her chest. She felt a strange connection to it, a pull she could not resist. It was calling her forward, not in words, but in something older and deeper than language. That night, the dreams returned. Each member of the crew had visions, but this time, they were stronger. Lena saw endless corridors of light and shadow, staircases that led to nowhere, and doors that opened only when she stepped forward. Voices spoke in a language she could not understand, yet she knew their meaning. They urged her to continue, to look, to see. When she woke, Her hands were trembling. She glanced at her crew, who all looked equally shaken. Ruel rubbed his eyes and whispered, "It is like it is testing us. Showing us a path." Mara's voice was low. "Or tempting us. There is a difference between testing and luring. We cannot forget the Solari's warning." "I understand," Lena said. "But I also understand something else. The Solari never stayed. They left before learning anything. We are the ones who stayed. And that makes a difference. This sarcophagus is responding to humanity, not fear." The following cycle, Lena decided to examine the carvings more closely. Using a combination of sensors and careful observation, she discovered that the symbols were not random. They followed patterns of mathematics, shapes, and energy flow. Some of them resembled formulas for energy conversion, others looked like maps of distant stars. Ruel leaned over her shoulder, eyes wide. "Captain, these are not just carvings. This is knowledge. Whoever built this wanted someone to read it. They wanted someone to understand it. And they wanted someone brave enough to face it," Lena added. Joran knelt near the base of the sarcophagus, his fingers tracing faint grooves that could not be seen from the drones. "The material is not just hard. It is intelligent. Look at this. Every time we touch a symbol, the pattern changes slightly. It adapts. It is alive in a way, but not biological. It is something we have never encountered before." The realization settled over the crew. This was not a tomb built to trap or destroy. It was a challenge, a test, a communication designed to wait for the right species. And humans had come, against fear, against warnings, against the instinct to turn away. That evening, Lena gathered the crew one more time. The pale moonlight fell across their faces, showing determination, curiosity, and fear all at once. "We have a choice," Lena said, her voice steady. "We can walk away, like so many others have done. Or we can continue, step by step, and learn what this sarcophagus is. I believe it is waiting for us. Not to harm us, but to teach us. We are not the first to stand here. But maybe we are the first to have the courage to see it through." Ruel nodded, his eyes shining. "I am ready, Captain. Whatever it wants, we will face it." Mara hesitated, then gave a small nod. "I stay. But we must be careful. We are not invincible." Joran smiled faintly. "I have never felt more alive than now. This is what it means to explore, to discover. I will follow, Captain." Lena looked at them all, pride swelling in her chest. "Then tomorrow we begin the next stage. We will study it closer. We will understand it. And if it calls to us, we will answer. We are human. And we do not turn away from what is unknown." As the crew returned to their quarters, the hum of the sarcophagus grew stronger. The symbols pulsed in rhythm, a steady heartbeat of light and energy. Lena stood for a moment longer, touching the smooth surface. She felt warmth, not fear, and something deep inside stirred. The moon was silent once again, yet for Lena, the silence was no longer empty. It was filled with promise. The sarcophagus had begun to open a door, not of metal, but of knowledge. And humanity had taken the first step. The moon's pale light cast long shadows across the excavation site as Lena and her crew approached the sarcophagus. Over the past cycles, the pulsing light from the symbols had grown stronger. It was no longer a soft hum in the background. It now filled the air with a vibration that could be felt in the bones. The ground around the object trembled faintly with each beat. Ruel adjusted the scanner in his hands. "Captain, the readings are off the charts. Whatever energy is inside, it is reacting to us more strongly than ever before. I have never seen anything like this." Lena nodded, her eyes fixed on the carvings. "It wants us to see it. Not run. Not fear. It is waiting for those willing to understand. Mara stepped back, crossing her arms. Understanding or not, it is dangerous. The Solari warned us. Entire civilizations vanished after encountering objects like this. We cannot ignore that. Joran knelt near the base of the sarcophagus, running his fingers along the carved symbols. They vanished because they let fear rule them. They did not study it. They did not try to understand. That is the difference. We are learning. We are looking. That is why we are still here. The hum of energy pulsed again, and a new pattern appeared on the surface. Lines shifted and twisted, forming shapes that had not been there before. The symbols were not static. They were alive, moving, changing, as though communicating. Ruel leaned closer. Captain, look at this. The carvings are forming something like a story. At least, I think it is a story. I cannot read it, but it is clear it is meant to be understood. Someone wanted this to be seen. Lena studied the patterns, tracing her gloved hand over the smooth surface. Each pulse of energy seemed to respond to her touch. It was not mechanical. It was not a trap. It was a message. The more she examined it, the more she realized the carvings were warnings and lessons combined. They depicted alien civilizations, vast cities, and enormous fleets of ships. Each scene showed a rise and a fall. One civilization seemed proud and advanced, yet a final scene depicted its collapse, with ships destroyed and cities in ruin. Look at this, Lena said softly. They are showing us what happened to others. Not to scare us, but to teach us. Every species that came here made the same mistake. They feared too much, and they failed. Mara looked uneasy. And if we make a mistake? Then we learn, Lena replied. But we will not run blindly. That is what sets humans apart. We do not abandon knowledge just because it is dangerous. Joran pointed to a series of symbols near the edge of the lid. These are star maps. I recognize the patterns. They lead to other systems, galaxies far beyond what we have charted. Whoever built this sarcophagus wanted someone to follow these maps, but only if they were brave enough to face the object itself. The crew exchanged glances, understanding the weight of the discovery. This was not just a tomb. It was a repository of knowledge. A library in stone, hidden for centuries. Ruel shook his head in awe. It is incredible. The energy, the carvings, the maps. Whoever made this wanted the right species to survive. And they chose humanity. Lena nodded. It is testing us, but not with fear. It is testing our curiosity, our courage, our willingness to look at the unknown. That is why the Solari and others failed. They let fear control them. As they studied the carvings, a low vibration began beneath their feet. The tremor was faint at first but grew stronger with each pulse of the symbols. The ground shifted slightly, and tiny cracks appeared near the edges of the sarcophagus. Captain, look at this, Joran said, pointing. The surface is changing. The cracks are forming patterns too. It is adapting to us, responding to our study. Lena leaned closer, placing her hand on the smooth surface. A warm sensation ran through her glove. The carvings shifted beneath her fingers, moving like liquid light. She could feel the energy responding to her presence, almost as if it were alive. The symbols began to form images of beings. They were humanoid, yet unlike any species Lena had seen. Their faces were serene, their posture proud, and their hands often shone reaching toward the stars. Each image carried a story. One showed a being holding a device that could manipulate energy. Another depicted a large fleet of ships moving through a galaxy filled with stars and nebulae. These are the ones who came before, Lena whispered. They built this. They explored. They created knowledge. And they left it behind, waiting for the right species to find it. Mara watched closely, her fear slowly giving way to wonder. So this was not a prison. It was not meant to trap anyone. It was a gift. Yes, Lena said firmly. A gift. But only for those willing to face it. The carvings are not warnings of death. They are warnings of choice. Every civilization that failed chose fear over understanding. We choose differently. The hum grew louder, and a new vibration ran through the ground. The light on the sarcophagus intensified, pulsing in rhythm with their heartbeat. Lena realized that the object was communicating not with words, but with energy, with light, and with presence. This is just the beginning, Lena said. It will show us more if we are patient. If we respect it. We cannot rush. We cannot force it. We must listen. Ruel and Joran nodded in agreement. Mara, after a long pause, gave a small smile. Then we continue. Carefully. But we continue. The crew returned to the ship to rest, but sleep did not come easily. Dreams returned, stronger than before. Lena saw corridors of light that stretched forever, doors that opened only when she stepped forward, and beings that spoke without words. The images were confusing, yet they felt familiar. The sarcophagus was guiding her, teaching her even in sleep. Morning came, and the crew was ready. They approached the sarcophagus once again. The symbols pulsed brighter, as if recognizing their presence. Lena placed her hand on the smooth surface, feeling warmth and energy flowing through her fingers. Today, we learn more, she said softly. We face what no one else dared to face. And we will understand it together. The hum of energy resonated around them, filling the air with a vibration that was both powerful and comforting. The sarcophagus had begun to reveal its secrets, and humanity was ready to follow. For the first time, Lena realized something important. The sarcophagus was not a tomb. It was a teacher, a guide, and a challenge. It had waited for a species brave enough to seek knowledge, patient enough to endure fear, and wise enough to respect the unknown. And humanity had answered its call. The crew of the Horizon Dawn stood at the edge of the excavation pit. The moon's pale light reflected off the smooth surface of the sarcophagus. The pulsing glow of the symbols was stronger than ever. The low hum of energy vibrated in their bones, echoing the steady rhythm of their own hearts. Lena adjusted her gloves and stepped closer. Today, we proceed, she said, her voice calm but firm. We will examine it directly. Carefully, step by step. Nothing reckless. But we must see what is inside. Ruel held the scanner, reading the energy flow patterns. The energy is stable. It is not aggressive, but it is aware. Whatever is inside, it is waiting. Mara hesitated. Captain, once we start this, there is no going back. We are touching something ancient. Something powerful. We must be careful. I understand, Lena replied. But the sarcophagus has been waiting for centuries. It wants us to know. It wants us to face it. Joran positioned the mechanical supports and lifting tools. He examined the smooth surface carefully. The seal is strong, but the material responds to pressure. It is intelligent. We can open it without damage if we are precise. The crew worked in silence, each member aware of the weight of the moment. Every movement was deliberate. Every adjustment was measured. The pulsing symbols seemed to react to their touch, glowing brighter with every careful step. Lena placed her hand on the edge of the lid. A warm sensation ran through her glove, spreading into her arm. She felt a connection, as if the sarcophagus itself acknowledged her presence. The hum grew louder, more resonant, almost like a voice that spoke without words. Here we go, Lena whispered. The lifting mechanisms began to move. The lid of the sarcophagus shifted slowly, smoothly, as though sliding on invisible tracks. A beam of light escaped from the crack, and the air around them shimmered. Dust lifted gently, suspended in the faint energy field surrounding the object. The light grew stronger. The symbols on the sarcophagus shimmered and moved, forming new shapes. The carvings no longer seemed like static warnings. They now appeared as a flowing sequence, showing scenes Lena had never seen before. The first image revealed a humanoid figure, tall and graceful. Its face was serene, its hands folded over its chest. Around the figure were symbols similar to the ones on the sarcophagus, flowing like liquid light. Lena felt a warmth and peace emanating from the image. "Look at that," Ruel whispered. "It is alive in a way we cannot explain. Not moving, but communicating. It is showing us something." Mara's eyes widened. "It does not look dangerous. But it is so powerful. So calm." Joran nodded. "It is waiting. Waiting for recognition. Waiting for understanding. It is not a threat." Lena stepped closer, her hands trembling slightly. "We are here," she said softly. "We see you. We are listening." The lid shifted further, and the figure inside became clearer. It was not a statue. It was preserved, suspended in a faint energy field. Its skin was smooth and pale, and its features were calm, almost gentle. The hands were folded as if in greeting or blessing. Ruel scanned the energy around the figure. "It is not dead. It is in stasis. Preserved in some form of energy. It has survived centuries, maybe millennia. This technology, no one alive could have created it." Mara swallowed hard. "What is it? Why is it here?" Lena shook her head slightly. "I do not know. But it is waiting for us to understand. We are the first to reach this point. The first to see it with open minds, not fear." The hum of energy increased. The light around the sarcophagus spread to the entire pit, illuminating the moon's surface in a soft glow. Symbols moved along the walls of the structure, forming sequences that Lena recognized from her study. They were not warnings now. They were instructions, showing the crew how to interact safely with the preserved figure. Joran carefully adjusted the supports to open the final few centimeters. As the lid rose, the air shimmered, and a faint warmth spread across the pit. Lena felt a deep calm. The energy felt welcoming. The figure stirred. Its eyes opened slowly, glowing faintly with a soft golden light. It did not speak in words, but Lena felt its thoughts, gentle and clear. She understood the message without sound. "Do not fear," the figure seemed to say. "I am not your enemy. I am the keeper of knowledge. I have waited for those who seek understanding, not destruction." Ruel stepped back, awe on his face. "It is speaking to us. Not in words, but in thoughts. Incredible." Mara took a deep breath. "It is alive. Alive in a way we never imagined. And it trusts us." The figure raised a hand slightly, and the carvings on the sarcophagus responded. Light flowed from the symbols into the figure, and a vision filled the air around them. Lena saw galaxies, stars, and civilizations rising and falling. She understood that the sarcophagus was more than a tomb. It was a repository of knowledge, a guardian of histories and technologies lost to time. "This is what the Solari never understood," Lena said softly. "It is not a weapon. It is not a trap. It is a teacher, a guide, and a keeper of wisdom." The keeper's thoughts continued to flow into Lena's mind. It showed how other civilizations had come, curious but afraid. They had looked at the sarcophagus and turned away or tried to take its contents without understanding. Their fear had caused their disappearance. Only those who approached with respect, patience, and courage could awaken it safely. Ruel whispered, "That explains why it chose us. Humanity is willing to face the unknown without running. That is why it responded to us." The keeper reached out a hand, and a holographic projection appeared above the sarcophagus. It showed devices, star maps, and knowledge that Lena and her crew had never seen. Each image contained information about energy, travel, and understanding of the universe far beyond current technology. "This is what we came for," Lena said, her voice filled with wonder. "This is the knowledge of the ancients, preserved for the right species to find." Mara smiled, her fear melting into awe. "We are part of something bigger than ourselves. Something that existed long before us and will guide us far into the future." The keeper's presence was gentle but powerful. Its energy filled the pit with a quiet authority. Lena understood that this being was not only a guardian but also a teacher. It would reveal knowledge to those who were patient, curious, and brave. The sarcophagus had waited for centuries. Humanity had arrived, and the keeper had awakened. The first stage of understanding had begun. Lena looked at her crew, pride swelling in her chest. "We did it. We faced the unknown. We have not just survived, we have been chosen to learn." Ruel nodded, eyes wide with excitement. "And this is only the beginning. Imagine what else it can teach us." Mara placed her hand on Lena's shoulder. "We must be careful, Captain. But I feel hope and respect. We have been entrusted with something extraordinary." Joran adjusted the controls on the lifting mechanism, keeping the sarcophagus stable. "It trusts us. And we will honor that trust." The keeper remained still now, its energy calm, its eyes golden and steady. The sarcophagus no longer pulsed like before. Instead, it hummed softly, content with the awakening of those it had waited for. The humans had broken the seal. They had faced the mystery with courage, patience, and respect. And in doing so, they had stepped into a story far larger than themselves, one that would carry humanity into knowledge no other species had ever reached. The keeper's message was clear: those who face the unknown with courage and understanding will find what others never dared to seek. Humanity had answered the call. The moon was quiet, yet the excavation site was filled with energy. The sarcophagus, now fully open, radiated a soft golden light. The keeper, the humanoid figure suspended in its energy field, stood as calm as ever. Lena and her crew had watched in awe as it projected holographic images of galaxies, civilizations, and technologies lost to time. "This is beyond anything we have ever imagined," Ruel said, his eyes wide. "It is not just knowledge. It is understanding. It is everything." Lena nodded. "And now, it seems, it is testing us. Not with danger, but with challenges. Every vision, every projection, it is guiding us. We must follow carefully." Mara's brow was furrowed. "Challenges? What do you mean?" Before Lena could answer, the keeper raised a hand. Light extended from its palm, forming a doorway of shimmering energy. The doorway was not solid, but it pulsed with movement, like liquid light. Symbols circled around it, flowing in patterns Lena had never seen. "It is a gate," Lena whispered. "A test. Whoever passes through will learn more. Whoever hesitates may fail." Ruel stepped forward. "Then we go together. No one alone." The crew nodded in agreement. Their lives depended on each other. Trust was now as important as curiosity. Lena led the way. She stepped into the gate first. The moment her feet crossed the threshold, a sensation swept through her body. It was not cold or hot, not heavy or light. It was like moving through a dream. Inside, the surroundings shifted. She found herself in a corridor of light and stone. The walls were covered in the same symbols as the sarcophagus, but now they glowed brighter, forming patterns that seemed to respond to her thoughts. "Captain." Ruel's voice came through her comms, steady despite the wonder around him. "I am here. Mara, Joran, follow closely. Stay in line." The crew moved forward, their footsteps silent on the smooth surface. The corridor twisted and turned, each passage forming new patterns. The symbols responded to their curiosity, showing new combinations of galaxies, star systems, and tools of unknown energy. "This is incredible," Joran whispered. "It is teaching us. Every step, every choice, it gives knowledge to those who seek it." Mara studied the symbols carefully. "But notice how it responds only when we focus. If we rush, it stops. If we panic, it retreats. It is testing patience, not strength." Lena nodded. "That is why no one else succeeded before us. They tried to force it. We are learning what patience and observation mean in the presence of something beyond understanding." As they moved deeper, the corridor shifted. A soft hum filled the air, and faint images of past civilizations appeared along the walls. Some civilizations were thriving, building vast fleets and advanced cities. Others crumbled into ruin, their structures destroyed, their people gone. The patterns were clear: those who gave in to fear or greed failed. Those who persevered, studied, and respected survived. Ruel paused. "Look at this. They are showing us the results of choices. Not just what they built, but how they acted. It is teaching morality as much as science." Lena's mind raced. It is true. Knowledge alone is useless without wisdom. This gate is teaching us both. That is why it chose humanity. We do not only seek knowledge. We act with courage, curiosity, and caution. The next chamber appeared as a large hall filled with floating platforms. Each platform was illuminated with holographic images. To move forward, the crew had to step carefully, selecting the platforms that glowed brighter. The wrong platform faded instantly, and the path reset itself. Mara frowned. "It is testing our judgment. Every decision matters." Ruel took a deep breath. "Then we must observe first, choose wisely, and trust each other." They began to step from platform to platform. Every movement required careful attention. If anyone hesitated too long, the energy would shift and force them to reassess. Lena noticed patterns repeating, almost like a language in motion. She realized the gate was teaching strategy and awareness simultaneously. Hours passed as they moved through the hall. Each challenge tested something different: memory, perception, teamwork, and patience. Some images on the platforms were of energy systems too complex to understand. Others showed celestial phenomena, star formations, and gravitational anomalies. "This is incredible," Joran said, pointing at a floating projection. "The knowledge here could advance humanity centuries ahead. If we understand it, if we survive this gate." Mara nodded slowly. "And that is the key. Understanding. Patience. Courage. That is what the Keeper has been testing all along." At the end of the hall, the corridor opened to a chamber of pure light. The Keeper stood at the far end, arms raised, symbols flowing from its body into the chamber. The crew felt warmth and energy surround them. It was neither threatening nor cold. It was inviting, encouraging, and alive. "You have done well," Lena heard in her mind, the Keeper's thoughts clear and gentle. "You have shown courage, patience, and trust. You are worthy to know more. The gate is complete for now, but this is only the beginning of your journey." Ruel's voice was awed. "Captain, did you feel that? It acknowledged us. We passed." Lena smiled. "We did. But it is more than passing a test. We learned how to act in the presence of something greater than ourselves. That is the true lesson." Mara looked around. "We saw visions of past civilizations. We understood their mistakes. We saw the right choices. This is what it means to be human. Not the strongest, not the fastest, but the ones willing to face the unknown and learn." Joran adjusted the sensors on his visor. "It has shown us the first layer. The knowledge is endless. And it is given only to those who prove they deserve it." Lena placed a hand on the glowing surface of the gate, feeling the energy flow. "We are ready for the next step." Whatever the keeper has planned, we will face it. Humanity has always faced the unknown, and we will continue to do so. The hum of energy filled the chamber. The light pulsed in rhythm with their hearts, steady and encouraging. They were no longer just explorers. They were students, chosen to learn from a being older than any civilization they had known. The keeper's presence was calm but powerful. It did not force them forward. It guided, tested, and rewarded understanding. Each lesson prepared them for what was next. They were learning to think, act, and perceive on a level beyond ordinary comprehension. Lena looked at her crew and felt pride swelling in her chest. They had come here for discovery, and they were discovering far more than they had imagined. The gate had tested them, and humanity had passed. The keeper extended its hand once more. A holographic projection appeared, showing star maps, energy flows, and ancient technologies. Lena understood that the knowledge was endless, but so was the challenge. Ruel whispered, "This is just the beginning. The keeper will guide us, but we must be ready for anything." Mara nodded. "And we will. Together." Joran smiled. "We have faced fear, uncertainty, and challenge. We will continue. Humanity never turns away from the unknown." The gate pulsed one final time that cycle. The light filled the chamber, warm and inviting. Lena knew they had passed the trial, but the true journey had just begun. The keeper had awakened them to knowledge, patience, and courage. And the stars were waiting. The gate of light shimmered around Lena and her crew. The keeper stood at the center, calm and steady, radiating warmth and power. The chamber pulsed with energy, each beat resonating with the hearts of the humans who had dared to face the unknown. "This is it," Lena said softly, her voice filled with awe. "This is the moment we have worked toward. The knowledge, the wisdom, the experience of civilizations long gone. It is all here." Ruel's eyes were wide as he studied the holographic projections that floated around them. Star maps stretched across the chamber, and complex energy diagrams hovered in the air. Entire civilizations appeared and faded, showing how they built, thrived, and fell. "Captain, this is more than anything humanity has ever seen. This is the culmination of centuries of achievement, preserved in a way no one else could survive." Mara placed a hand on her chest, her breath slow. "It is beautiful. And terrifying. But it feels right. Like it was meant for us to find." Joran adjusted his visor, scanning every detail. "The keeper has given us a test, but it has also given us guidance. Every step we took was preparation. We are ready now." The keeper raised its hand, and a stream of light connected to each of them, filling their minds with understanding. Lena saw visions of distant galaxies, technologies beyond imagination, and civilizations that had discovered energy manipulation, faster than light travel, and harmony with their worlds. The keeper's knowledge was vast, yet it was not overwhelming. It flowed like a river, allowing the humans to absorb as much as they could process. "You have come far," the keeper's thoughts reached Lena directly. "You have faced fear, uncertainty, and the unknown. You have learned patience, trust, and courage. You are worthy of the knowledge preserved here. Use it wisely, and the future of your kind will be brighter than any you have imagined." Ruel turned to Lena, his voice trembling with excitement. "Captain, this is incredible. Imagine what we can do with this information. Human civilizations could advance centuries in understanding. We could explore, create, and protect worlds with what we are learning." Lena nodded. "Yes, but it is more than technology. It is understanding. We have seen the mistakes of others. We have learned what leads to ruin and what leads to growth. This is the greatest lesson of all." The holographic images shifted, showing human history intertwined with the vast galaxy. It was as if the keeper was reminding them of their responsibility. Humanity had the spark to reach beyond ordinary limits. They could rise, not by force, but by courage, curiosity, and wisdom. Mara's voice was quiet but firm. We must remember that knowledge without understanding can be dangerous. But we have learned to approach with respect and caution. That is our strength. Joran stepped forward, pointing at a sequence of symbols forming new maps. These are routes to galaxies untouched by any known species. The Keeper is offering opportunities. But they require responsibility and thought. We cannot fail this test. Lena placed her hand over the pulsing light. We will not fail. Humanity has faced countless unknowns and overcome them. This is just another challenge, and we are ready. We have the courage to act where others hesitated, and the wisdom to use the knowledge we gain. The Keeper's energy brightened, enveloping the crew in warmth and light. It showed them visions of the future, possible worlds, and civilizations that might exist if humanity followed the lessons it had learned. The vision was not fixed. It changed depending on their choices, their understanding, and their willingness to act responsibly. You have earned this, the Keeper communicated. Not because you are the strongest or the fastest, but because you are willing to face what others avoided. Your curiosity and courage have unlocked this knowledge. You are human, and that makes you unique among all the stars. Lena's eyes filled with determination. We will honor this trust. We will use this knowledge not to dominate, but to explore, create, and protect. We will be the guardians of what the Keeper has preserved. Ruel nodded. We will share this with humanity carefully. Teach the lessons, advance understanding, and guide our kind with wisdom. That is our responsibility. Mara added, and we will remember what it took to get here. Patience, courage, trust. The Keeper's test was not only about knowledge, but about who we are as humans. That is the greatest gift. The Keeper extended its hand once more, and a final stream of light connected to each of them. The visions showed not just galaxies and civilizations, but human potential. It revealed that with courage, determination, and cooperation, humanity could rise among the stars. This is your inheritance, the Keeper said in thought. Not a gift of power, but a spark of understanding. The universe is vast, and your journey is just beginning. Use what you have learned wisely, and the future of your kind will shine brightly. The light began to fade, and the gate slowly closed behind them. The sarcophagus, once a symbol of mystery and caution, now stood as a monument to opportunity and knowledge. The symbols remained etched in the stone, glowing faintly as if to remind humanity of the path they had chosen. Lena looked at her crew. We have succeeded. We have faced the unknown and proven ourselves. But this is only the start. The real challenge begins now, as we carry this knowledge forward. Ruel smiled. We will be ready, Captain. Humanity has always faced the impossible, and we will continue to do so. We have the Keeper's guidance, but we must act wisely and courageously. Mara's eyes reflected the golden light. This is what it means to be human. To face fear, to seek knowledge, to act with wisdom, and to rise above what others would avoid. That is our spark. Joran adjusted his tools and looked at the sarcophagus. The Keeper has shown us the way. Now it is up to us to walk it. Step by step, carefully, and with courage. Lena placed her hand on the smooth surface one final time. The warmth and energy flowed into her, a reminder that humanity had been chosen not because it was perfect, but because it was willing to face the unknown. The universe is waiting, Lena said softly. And we are ready to meet it? The moon remained quiet outside the excavation site, yet within the pit, the spark of humanity shone brighter than ever. The sarcophagus had revealed its secrets, the Keeper had awakened, and humanity had proved that courage, curiosity, and wisdom were enough to unlock the universe's greatest mysteries. For the first time, Lena understood the full meaning of the journey. The Keeper's trials were complete, but the adventure was only beginning. Humanity had the spark, the knowledge, and the courage to rise among the stars. and the stars were ready to watch, to test, and to guide them further. Lena smiled at her crew. We faced what no one else dared. We learned what others refused to understand. Humanity will carry this spark forward. And we will never stop seeking, never stop learning, never stop exploring. The keeper's energy pulsed one last time, a gentle wave of approval and encouragement. The humans stood together, looking at the open sky beyond the moon, knowing that their journey had only just begun. And somewhere in the vastness of the stars, the spark of humanity shone brighter than ever, ready to face the universe with courage, curiosity, and the unyielding desire to understand the unknown.